What is up, YouTube? My name is Paige, and thank you again for joining me on my renewed reading journey. If you're here for the first time, welcome, and I do not usually sound like this. I apologize for my bassy and potentially crackly voice through this video. I had to take a day off work this week, which is like unheard of for me. I am ill. Luckily, I'm back at work by now, but it's been a rough one. It is almost the middle of October at this point. If you're seeing this, it probably is the middle of October. It's past Canadian Thanksgiving, and I'm refilming this video because my phone decided just not to transfer the video onto the computer.
Computer says no.
But instead, I'm using my like underwater camera, so hopefully the sound quality is good. This is the camera I use for filming fish and like taking pictures of fish in the summer. So I don't know, we'll see, maybe it'll work. I can only film like 3 minutes at a time, so maybe that'll be good for being concise. Okay, so this video, which I already filmed and I'm refilming, is my kind of spooky season TBR. I really enjoy Halloween. I do not enjoy horror films or books, but I'm trying to get myself into reading more horror, more kind of spooky, scary books, because I know that I do enjoy the Stephen King that I read, and I can tolerate some fear. So I went to a couple different bookstores, picked up some books, got some recommendations from different videos on YouTube about horror books or good starting points for horror. So because we're already into the month of October, I've started reading already. So I'm partially through 4 books. This first book was a recommendation from my friend Shannon. It is one of her all-time favorite books. She talks about it a lot, and she asked me to read it so she would have someone to talk with about this book. So I'm halfway, if not 2/3 of the way through The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. I've gone into all of these books not knowing what they are about, so for the ones that I've started, I'll summarize them without spoilers. However, the rest of them, I really don't know that much about, so I'm going to give you kind of the gist of what I know, maybe the first little part of the blurb on the back of the book. But The Day of the Triffids is about a man who wakes up in hospital. He has bandages over his eyes because he's had an accident that has made him temporarily blind. However, he decides to take the bandages off. He can see, but no one around him in the world, in London at least, because it's set in London, England, can see. And he knows that it is because of the Triffids, which are a carnivorous plant that blind people in order to make them easier prey. The next book that I've already completed is Jim Butcher's Grave Peril. It's the 3rd book in the Harry Dresden Wizard Detective in Chicago series. It's about Harry Dresden, who is a wizard detective. I listened to this as an audiobook. I'd already read half of it a couple years ago and just didn't read the rest of it. Not because I didn't like it. However, I've finished it at this point. I won't tell you what I thought of it. It is about ghosts. The spirit world kind of going a little berserk, and spirits interacting with humans and other magical creatures in Chicago. So all of these books are set in Chicago. If you read the first or second Harry Dresden book, this one does like depart from that. There's a lot of religious undertones. He's not like preaching to you or anything, but one of the characters is Christian, and he is a messenger from God essentially. So like he talks about Christianity a lot and God and God's messages. So something to keep in mind if you're looking at the next Harry Dresden books. The next one I'm reading is also a Harry Dresden book. I'm in the middle of it right now. It's called Summer Night. This one is about Fae. It might be my last Harry Dresden book. So take from that what you will. This is a book that you can see I'm not very far through, and it is Bad Cree by Jessica Jones. And this is a book about a Cree woman who lives in Vancouver. She is in her early 20s, lives by herself, has had quite a few traumas in her life, and is experiencing these very vivid dreams about her sister dying at the beaks of crows. Now, it's not clear to me if the crows actually killed her sister in real life, or if that's just what's manifesting in her dreams. However, when she wakes up, she is feeling the cold and smelling the trees around her from the dream, and is clutching objects from her dream when she wakes up, but as soon as she opens her eyes, they're gone. So far, it's really well written, super interesting. It was on the short list for the Canada Reads Prize, so that's why I heard of it, and I've been looking forward to picking it up ever since. I think I'm gonna blast through this book really quickly. So the next book in this pile is one of a few classics, one of which I'm rereading, but this one I've never read before, and I probably should have, but I feel like I'm gonna love it, and it's Dracula by Bram Stoker. I am jazzed for this book. It's not very long. I didn't realize how short it was, so I'm excited to read this like fall season. Okay, all I know about Dracula is that it's set in Transylvania. I know a bit about Dracula lore because, oh my goodness, my pumpkin. Let me see if I can get it. Because I read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I'm familiar with Dracula as a character, but not this Dracula, and I don't know anything about Van Helsing. Honestly, until I looked at the back of this book, I didn't know Van Helsing was part of Dracula. I know very little about vampires, Dracula, and any of that, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. It was written in 1897. Apparently it's an easy read. Dracula is usually a book that is assigned to high schoolers, so I hope I'm not going to have a hard time with this. I don't really want to use my brain for the month of October. Next up is, I guess consider this a classic, but it's like a series of short stories. And I've got another book that's a series of short stories as well. I'll throw it on the ground. I believe that we are reading this for my next book club, and that is Classic Tales of Horror by Edgar Allan Poe. I have only read one Edgar Allan Poe story, and I can't remember at this time which one it is. It is in this book, and I will find out. I think it's The Cask of Amontillado. Is that by Edgar Allan Poe? Yes, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But this book has a lot of classic Poe stories in it. It doesn't have The Raven, but that might be a novella. Maybe that's why it's not in here. The Fall of the House of Usher, The Man of the Crowd, The Mask of the Red Death, The Telltale Heart, The Black Cat, The Oblong Box, amongst other stories. Looking forward to reading some Edgar Allan Poe. The next one I have is a book of short stories. I chose this book based purely on the author. I've never read anything from this author. However, her most popular novel is also like one of the most popular horror novels amongst the booktubers that I've listened to and watched videos from in recent weeks. So I chose 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Agustina Bazterrica, and I chose it because she wrote Tender as the Flesh, and that is a lot of people's favorite book, or very high on their list, and I am very excited to read this. I don't know anything about it except for the fact that Tender as the Flesh was about cannibalism, so I'm presuming there's cannibalism in this. Not that all her books are going to be about the same thing, but it does say this book has like everybody's worst nightmares on page. So my worst nightmare would probably be eaten. That would be bad. I would guess this would have a long list of trigger warnings to read. I don't usually read those. I'm not bothered by most things, and if I am bothered by them, I just stop reading. The next one I'm going to read is a shorty, it looks like. It is The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle, and I did not know that this was a Sherlock Holmes book. So it's gonna be my first Sherlock Holmes mystery. I'm so excited. It's about spectral hounds. I thought it was about werewolves.
Werewolf for mitzvah, spooky, scary, boys becoming men, men becoming wolves.
But it's not. So I guess that could have been an interesting turn of events for me, but I read the back. Next, I'm rereading a classic that I absolutely love that I haven't read in over 10 years since I was in my last year of university. I'm going to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and I absolutely loved Frankenstein. This is my book from university, so it's like heavily annotated. Let me see. Many pages have something written on them, so I'm excited to see also what I thought of the book while I was reading it the first time. So, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Very excited. Trying to convince my fiance also to read this book, and just because he's never read any classics, and I think this is a really good one. I don't think I'd be able to sell it to him this way, and he watches these, so now he's not going to want to read it. But it's an epistolary novel, so it's a novel that is a set of letters, so it's not what most people think it's going to be, and it's definitely easier to read than most people believe. These are the last 2 books, and they're probably 2 of the ones that I'm the most excited to read. I'm definitely not going to read all of these books in the month of October, as I am not a fast reader. It's just a fact. So I'm going to let these spill into November, and we'll get a recap video once I'm done all these books. Or most of them. Who knows? We might DNF some. The next one I've been looking forward to reading for so long. Probably since it came out. I've been researching this book, and I finally found a copy of it to buy from a local bookstore. It came out in 2022, so I guess I've only been looking forward to reading it for 2 years. But still, it has felt long and drawn out because I couldn't find a physical copy at a local bookstore. But I went to Little Ghosts Books, or Little Ghosts Bookstore and Cafe in Toronto. It is on Dundas West, not super west, so if you're downtown Toronto, it's like walkable. But Little Ghost Books, they were so wonderful. They gave me another recommendation for a starter horror book for myself, and I selected for myself Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. It's a werewolf novel, and the co-owner of the store did tell me that it is not a scary werewolf novel. So I'm looking forward to that. Just over 300 pages, and it just looks awesome. And I have only heard good things about it, so looking forward to diving into that one. Little Ghosts is also a publisher, and the owner recommended to me also to pick up one of their original published works by Madison McSweeney, and that is Most Likely to Summon what? Nyhiloteph? Most Likely to Summon Nyhiloteph. I'm only going to tell you what she told me about it. They also gave me this sick bookmark that's from the cover of the book. It is a possession book. A group of students is trying not to get possessed by a demon named Nyhiloteph, and they do not succeed. So I have myself quite the hefty pile of books. Again, I do not think that I will finish reading these in the month of October. It is already 12th, so I don't think I'm going to get very far. I'm about here, and I have all of these to read, so still gonna try. We'll see where we end up. Thank you again for joining me. I am very grateful to everybody who watches these videos. There aren't many of you yet, but hopefully we'll gain some more friends soon. Please recommend to me any of your starter horror or spooky books that you think I would enjoy. I love Stephen King, and I am not strong enough to read it, so make that your barometer for your recommendations. Please like and subscribe. Check the links below for my Goodreads, Fable, Instagram. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!